This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 15th meeting of the Community Preservation Act Committee. Before we get going, just want to introduce the members of the committee. I'm Scott Kavanaugh. I'm the mayor's appointee to the committee, and I'm the chair of the committee.
Dan Rist, City Council.
Jay Ryan, a Conservation Commission representative.
Mary Church, Housing Authority.
Kira Henninger, Parks and Rec.
And I'm Ava Gerstel. I'm the CPA coordinator. Welcome, everyone.
Great. And I think you're already doing this, but actually, if you could just point to that when people come in, that would be for you. Even before I said it, you were on it.
You're in charge of that.
But just remind people to sign in when they come in.
And we do have a couple agendas up here in case anyone would like one.
All right. First order of business, approval of minutes. We actually don't have the minutes from last meeting, which is fine. So we'll do that next month. Public speak. This is the time to address for the public anything that is not on the agenda. So if you're not here for skate park or Old Town Hall or Nashwanik Pond, if you're here for those things, wait for a moment. If you're here for anything else, now's the time to speak. Yes.
Hi, I'm Sarah Amoroso. I live at 9 Winter Street, and I was hoping that some of my younger cohort would be here, but I have been working with some 5th graders in Mountain View School, where I also work, because they want to, they're interested in making improvements to the playground. Those of you who do not know the playground right now, it is not very well suited to people who can't use monkey bars. There are many different kinds of monkey bars, both in the middle school and in the elementary school. And it's a problem for kids who want to do other things. It's a problem for kids who have disabilities, and it is not providing a enriched recess environment. Kids only have about 20 minutes a day, and during their recess, several 5th graders who have betrayed me approached me. Actually, they came up to me with a petition, and they said, "Will you sign our petition for better recess equipment?" And I said, "Absolutely." And we have been working together. They have visited City Council and School Committee. School Committee has formed a subcommittee to address this very thing. And we're reaching out to the community because we're looking for partners, community members, members of committees and boards. We don't have a specific ask at this time, but we want to reach out. We're going to have an event coming up at some point where adults in the community can visit the playground and give it a try. And you can meet some of the people who are having a difficult time with the playground, including kids who have physical disabilities. And I know it's disappointing to hear that the brand new playground is probably not serving people, you know, our children as well as it could, but unfortunately that is the case. And I think that, first of all, I'm really proud of the kids who are not here. Generally speaking, they're wonderful. They also had MCAS today, so they're probably cooked. But I would love to talk to any of you about it. I would love for you to visit when we have our little event. And yeah, if you have any questions, I guess I'll be around. Many of you know me. I know many of you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. And as far as just the other thing you should think about with this committee is that one of the things that we're charged with is funding open space and recreation. That money could certainly be used toward the playground. So when you're at that point, as far as
we're hoping to move along.
Yeah. So come back, connect with Ava.
Yes. Thank you.
And the sooner the better, because we just like to know about things ahead of time to be able to figure out.
Yeah. And I just want to emphasize that this is really kid led. Generally speaking, I've just sort of been like helping and advising. Like I'm not asking for them. This really came from them, and they have helped develop a message, and I'm really proud of them. So it's not me. It's really about the kids, and that's what's
I met
important.
those 5th graders today. They came in and had a
Oh, they
meeting.
did. Oh, wonderful! I'm so glad to hear that.
They do show up sometimes.
Yeah, no, I'm proud of them. They're
All right.
great kids.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Is there anybody else public speak for anything else that is not on the agenda? So not skate park or Old Town Hall
We have
or
one here.
Nashwauk Common? You have someone online?
Yes. Yep. Megan, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you, Sarah, for kicking us off with the information about the playground. I'm also on that committee. I'm a member of school committee. And when the students came to school committee and let us know about their needs and sort of what they're hoping to make changes about on the playground, I formed that subcommittee of the school committee. So yes, it's been entirely student-led. Just yesterday, a survey was deployed. So if you have kids who are in the middle school or the elementary school, please look for that flyer. There's a QR code and a link to get some, do a needs assessment and get some information about what students are wanting. And yeah, we just wanted to come tonight and just keep you in the loop and let you know what we're doing and that we absolutely will be applying for money when we are at that stage. We're also working with the planning department and city council. So it's a group effort, but it's really exciting and hopefully we will have some good playground updates, but I just wanted to plug that as well.
Great. Thank you, Megan. Anybody else public speak for things that are not on the agenda? All right. Moving on, city officials. Did you have anything? to report in this category?
The only thing I just wanted to make a note of is our meeting schedule, which we changed last meeting. So I just wanted to keep everyone updated on that. And most notably, we changed the June date. So it is now June 12th is the next meeting of the CPA committee. And that is the date they'll be voting on fourth quarter funding applications.
Great. And did you want to mention about the?
Oh, yes. And we'll be discussing the preservation plan, the Community Preservation Act preservation plan under continued business towards the end of the meeting. So stay tuned.
Thank you.
The meeting on the 12th?
No, the end of this meeting.
Today.
It's just, it kind of falls into that category, but we're bumping it since it's really only an internal discussion. We don't have to keep people waiting.
Unless any member of the public would like to stick around.
Yeah, anybody's well. Yeah, it's anybody is welcome as well. Account balances and open project updates.
Okay, why don't we start with open project balances today? Make it bigger. All right. Okay, so these are the projects that the CPA committee is currently funding and where their project balances are at. You'll notice that our expiration dates are continuing to look better and better as we close out old projects and get extensions for the projects that need them. Most notably, I think for this crowd, you'll note that the skate park design account is now down to 0, having spent their design funds. And I guess just a couple notes I'll make on here. Mount Tom North is very much on John Mason's radar. He's requested some more time to figure out exactly the remaining 24,000 there. There's some continued elements of the project to finish it up that he's hoping to use the remaining 24,000 for. We know the park pool, those funds are being held in this account until the end of the pool season this summer. And then you'll note at the very bottom, Valley CDC, mortgage subsidies, and Lathrop invasive plant removal years 2 and 3. Those are our most recent applications that this committee funded, and those did make it through City Council last council meeting. So they are all set and fully funded.
Thank you.
Another sign-in sheet?
Yeah, why don't you flip it over, maybe?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any questions from the committee about your projects? Or public?
Yeah.
All right.
Great. Okay. Now we'll take a look at available balances.
Can you also make that bigger?
So I think our relevant lines, as always, are the orange line, which is the available balances as where we stand right now. Just to be clear for the public, column C is open space, column D is historic preservation, column E is affordable housing, F is undesignated, and G is our reserve fund, which is similar to an undesignated fund, but it's budgeted. And so our orange column is, orange row is where we are at in terms of account balances at this point, in terms of available balances at this point. And our yellow line shows the available balances if the 3 projects that have submitted applications for fourth quarter of fiscal 25 funding are fully funded at their requested amounts. So just for context for the committee, and I'm sure you all remember this, but that would put us in a pretty similar position to last year. Pretty low, 267 ending this fiscal year with.
Great. Thank you so much for all your work on this, Ava, as always. Questions about this from the committee? Anybody else? All right. Thank you. That's all our administrative business. And so now we'll move on to new business. And the first piece of new business is the skate park application. I don't know if anybody's here for that. And just to set context, just so everyone here knows, the way the CPA committee works is we take votes as far as funding on a quarterly cycle. And so for this, which is the fourth quarter of the fiscal year, which runs July through June, we heard from projects in April, and we're hearing from some projects today. And then at the June meeting is actually when we vote on those projects that we heard about in April and May. So you're welcome to come back in that meeting, but this is where we kind of get more of the info. There might be questions that the committee has that we want to get, that we'd like answers for the final meeting before we vote. But that just so everybody understands that there won't be voting tonight. That would actually happen at the next meeting. All right. Who would like to lead us off for skate park? Excellent.
Do you want me to stand or stay seated?
You can
Stand up.
you can do whatever you'd like, whatever you feel more
Yeah,
comfortable.
however you feel most comfortable.
All right, so we're thrilled to be seeking funding from the CPA.
If you could introduce yourself.
Oh, Eddie. I'm part of the Easthampton Skate Park Committee. So we're thrilled to be seeking funding from the CPA and appreciate the support we have from the Parks and Rec Director to take on this project. We came to the CPA in November of 24, and we'll cover some background information and describe the funding request and project status. Here's some basics about skate parks in general. I think we have to go to the next slide. So who uses a skate park? It's not just skateboards, but BMX, scooters, roller skates, inline skates, etc. A properly designed and constructed skate park is future-proof and meets the needs of all these groups. They require minimal maintenance due to increases in technology and materials. How does the skate park serve the community? It allows individuals to express themselves outside traditional team sports. Each of these action sports have its own community and culture that a properly designed skate park fosters and nourishes. What age groups will use the skate park? All ages with a focus on 10 to 17. 14-year-old is the median age, and it's all demographics. A number of us are in our 30s and 40s and still use the skate parks today. Is bigger better? Nope. We prefer to evaluate the area and consider accessibility at risk youth by creating multiple spots in community skate parks to complement a regional or district skate park. These skate parks are predominantly used by lower and the middle class. Skate park users. So looking at this slide, each of those traditional sports require their own facility. Skate parks are action sports. They have one facility to meet the needs of all the users. Since funded by CPA in January 2022, we've been working hard. We completed a preliminary design for 50 Payson. It had numerous, it didn't pan out due to the proximity of the pond. We held a community meeting and we created a coalition of supportive parents, business owners, and skateboarders, which includes people in this room as well as stakeholders in the Mill District and city. The skate park was listed as to be built in 2010 in the master plan. In 2023, the skate park was listed as a goal in the open space plan. We're in year 2, which fits the timeline and need to have this skate park built. I'm gonna pass this on to Jeff to discuss it further.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Berg. I've been on the skate park committee since 2019. I live in Westhampton. We don't have a skate park either. My zip code is 01027. We basically live in Easthampton, so that's why I'm on this committee. In 2022, we started looking at a location right behind this building. It was small, but as we all know, there's not a lot of open space in this city, so we had to get creative. We didn't think Millside Park was even on the table at the time, so we didn't even approach it. At that time, we weren't even working with the Parks and Rec Commission. We were working alongside the now ex-city planner, and the mayor was assisting us in some logistics, trying to just figure out an appropriate location for the skate park. Unfortunately, the Payson Ave location for the skate park did not work out. It was very small. There was some environmental factors that we were dealing with because of its proximity to the pond. So we basically had to go back to the drawing board, which is when we reapproached the Parks and Rec Commission. And then for the past 3 or so years, we've been kind of rebuilding our relationship with the Parks and Rec Commission, which I'm happy to say it's very strong right now. If you could please go to the next slide. We basically had to go back to the drawing board and look at a few different locations. We looked at Daly Field, which is next to Nonotuck Park. We looked at Sheehan Field. Neither the skate park committee nor the Parks and Rec Commission were excited about a skate park in Nonotuck Park. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on in there already. So I think the Parks and Rec Commission was like, do we really need to add a skate park to this, you know, sprawling campus? And then the skate park committee, we're kind of coming from the thinking that, well, this park is closed during the winter time. You know, skateboarders, if it's not cold out, or if, you know, there's fresh snow, they'll shovel it off. They will use the park no matter what. So we really need some place that's going to be open, you know, 12 months a year. So that's when, if you could please go to the next slide. We started looking at Millside Park. At the same time we started looking at Millside Park, this new location was also put on the table, Ferry Street. Ferry Street is right behind the Ferry Street condo complex. It's right off the bike path. There's a water tower tucked in there. That's probably the best landmark to see where the location is. It's heavily wooded. There's no parking. It would have created a situation where we would have had to create an additional passing on the bike path. So after, you know, a significant investment in CPA funds in design work, it was decided that between GZA, the consultant, and the city, that this was not a suitable location. So finally, we kind of put all of our cards on the table and we're like, listen, Millside Park, do you mind going to the next slide? Thanks. Oh, sorry. Also, there was extensive planning work done at Millside. There's going to be some redevelopment going on in that area. And at the time that these meetings were held, there was significant enthusiasm from the public for a skate park at Millside Park. For anyone who grew up in the area and was a skateboarder or any wheeled sports user, they know that Millside Skate Park, it wasn't called that then, it was just Easthampton Skate Park, was really like the first good cement skate park in the region. Everyone from that time period knows about it. People would drive there from other towns to go skate it. And so when we lost that, it was like, it was a big blow. And you know, the McDonald's had a ton to do with that and getting that park built in the first place. And I think it was a blow to them as well when the city moved it to Chesterfield. And the thought process was at that time that a new park would be built at Millside. And, you know, if you look at that diagram right there, where the skate park is essentially where all us thought that it was going to be built. So, you know, the committee that restarted this project in 2019, we're just kind of picking up where the last committee left off from 2010 and where the McDonald's left off in the early 2000s. We're just really trying to put the skate park back where everyone from that time period knows that it originally was. And so finally, in September of 2024, we went back to the Parks Commission, and they actually voted unanimously to put the new skate park at Millside Park. So this was like a huge win for us. Several years of negotiations and meetings and lobbying the public, and everyone's still here, so it means that there's still interest in it. So we're really excited about that. I think that's pretty much the end of my slides, Jeff, if you want to take over.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff Bagg. Just for a quick clarification, I was the city planner for several years, and I've been out of that position for a little over a year. So I'm an Easthampton resident, and I'm volunteering. I'm a member of the committee now, trying to help establish the skate park. So I just want to clarify that. Just to finish off this slide that's up there now, Millside was really preferred. It's in a highly visible area. It's close to parking. It has bathrooms. It's close to the rail trail. And the business and the vibrancy down there really lends itself to adding the skate park at Millside, now at this current time. On the image on the left, that's from 1997. I think that's actually Frank. Frank's in the room. Frank was at the skate park opening. Frank owns the Theory Skate Shop in Northampton and Holyoke. But that's a picture of the park when it was opened. It was a memorial to David McDonald. His parents are here tonight. In the 90s, as Jeff said, it was the first park around, and it fell into disrepair. The area was not like it is today. There was nothing back there at that time. And so, the image on the right are the conceptual plans for creating Millside Park, the band shell and the loop, and that had the skate park penciled in. It was fully permitted by the Conservation Commission in 2005. And by the time the funding was being arranged for Millside in 2008, that was the first thing that got cut. So we're kind of bringing it back to that location. I can go to the next slide. Something that, having been involved in this for 5 or 6 years, there is this notion that, we don't really see anyone skateboarding in Easthampton. And it's a little bit of a misnomer because there are really no viable locations to do it. Street skating like it was in the 90s is not what most people want to do. They want to go to a skate park and they want to have this established location that's safe and legal and where they won't get harassed by, police and building owners. So one of our committee members, Noah, who is online but couldn't be here today, established Easthampton Skate Club a few years ago. And so it's a business venture for Noah. But what he has been really successful at doing is creating a culture, kind of reinvigorating the skateboard culture in Easthampton and the area. And the image on the right was an event that they held where they had New Balance as a shoe sponsor, coming out of Worcester. They were giving away skateboards. They were having, contest giveaways, and it really brought a lot of people together. And so Noah is saying that he's seeing 60 to 80 kids per week come through his relatively small space in Eastworks. And he's really nurturing this growth for this sport. And I don't know if Noah will speak later, but he's 100% on board with building the park. It's not a competition, it's complementary. So we just wanted to highlight that. It's a really important, professional skateboarders are there as well as kids. So it's a great place. It's building culture that we want to see. So some nuts and bolts for the CPA committee. There are a bunch of criteria, but I pulled out 4, that help you decide whether to spend money on a project. So benefiting our currently underserved population. We're really talking about an all-wheels park, and it's for school-age children. There are several here, which is awesome. It's hard to get kids to meetings, and it's even harder to get parents to meetings when this is busy sports season. But this is representative of a lot of people who are interested and involved and have been attached to this project for 5 years. It's a social place, and it's a sports facility. And there has been nothing since 2004 for people in Easthampton to use. Leveraging funding is something that the CPA talks about, using these city dollars to get larger pots of money. So what this whole proposal is to use the CPA money as the city's portion of the project, where we pursue a state grant. It's called the Park Grant, it ends with a C. And so that's a common funding source for these types of activities. The Park Grant in Massachusetts has funded quite a few skate parks. So that's what this is packaging together, the park grant and the CPA money. And I did write, I think this committee has talked to the Parks Director. The Land Water Conservation Fund is another funding source. It's just not as viable. It covers 50% of the cost of a project, whereas the park grant covers 68% of the cost of a project. So it's more bang for city's buck. Broad neighborhood and community support. This is kind of a fraction of the people that we think help represent what you would be funding this all-wheel skate park for Easthampton. In the packet that was sent to you guys, there is a letter from the mayor and city council president in support of the idea of an all-wheel skate park, along with a lot of other people who are rallying around this project. And then the public benefit. So kind of just looking back at the way that the mills were developed, there is millions and millions of state dollars that went into creating the back of the mills to make it the vibrant area that it is. There was state funds to build Millside Park, and we see this as adding an amenity to Millside, using the state funding and kind of repeating this and really enhancing the area. And it's a place for youth activity. So after the Parks Commission voted, we had some CPA money for the design work, and we worked with a company called Platform Group. They're worldwide known designers from Florida, and we were all in going forward with a concept design, kind of going for the Cadillac. There were some questions about the soil at Millside and dealing with rainwater and stormwater. So we moved a little bit of money from the CPA design to GZA, who's another consulting firm in the area, to do some test pits and look at the soil, and then look at the design and come up with a cost estimate. So as you kind of heard, the project has had some fits and starts, and so 2 steps forward and 1 step back. We did have a setback in April. GZA, who we like working with, the Parks Department likes working with them, came back and said that the park we were looking at designing was $1.3 million. And the budget that we had identified earlier was $750,000 for the total project. The mayor has been pretty clear that she is uncomfortable with a project of that cost moving forward. So where we are currently is GZA has come forward with a smaller footprint for the skate park, something that actually fits within the budget. And internally, the skate park committee is still really excited about it, wants to move forward, and that's kind of the proposal that we'll put forward to you tonight. So these images side by side, the image on the left was sort of the Cadillac, if you will. 10,000 square foot was the footprint, and it had a bowl. That's kind of the major feature that's on the left image. A little bit bigger, and just in terms of spreading out the park, it got closer to the band shell. And what GZA is helping the group and the city with now is the image on the right, which shows a 6,000 square foot footprint for the skate park. There are a lot of skate parks of this size that serve the purpose of kind of creating this area for people to learn and have this outdoor space. So we're in this position where we're asking the CPA, with the funding, to approve the idea of the skate park. And if we're successful getting your vote, we apply for the park grant, and the first year of that is coming up with the actual design. So put the ramps back in and figure out what's there. So that's the last, I think that's the last image here. It's kind of hard to see, but in the middle, it shows the footprint, which can move and can be reshaped. The square footage is important for dealing with stormwater. So that's kind of locked in, but the edges can be rounded. The things can move around a little bit. And what I've put in this slide is just some of the graphics from Platform Group. So, to show people that there would be, bank to curb, there'd be a rail, there'd be other features that will get designed if we're successful with the park grant. So we just want to make sure that everyone knew that, you're not just funding a concrete pad. There'll be the secondary design phase where, we would bring in BMXers and other people to relook out, where stairs would go, where a rail would go, and things like that. So I think one more slide is really the detailed timeline and budget. So the overall budget that we have been working with is $750,000, and through the work with GZA, you can see the cost column on the left. They're providing a number for permitting So there are some wetlands permits and some stormwater permits that would be necessary. Design, survey, and construction oversight is kind of the important part later, where they would design the skate park, they would do the survey work, and then they would do construction drawings. The actual construction budget is 514, if I can see that from here, 614. And then there's a contingency, which is normal for these kinds of projects. It's a 30% contingency. And then the funding column below that is park grant. We have an asterisk that we need to add with the park grant. But the CPA request was 175, and the group and all the volunteers and people involved are committing to fundraising $75,000, which is a tremendous amount for a project like this to fundraise. But that got us to the goal. We're working with the parks director, and he asked us to put together a timeline for the fundraising. And so there's a tentative timeline at the bottom. There's a tentative timeline on the bottom. It kind of lays out that, with the park grant, you would expect to hear whether that or not that's been granted in November. So in this period, we would do some soft activities and maybe get pledges. The group will likely need to form a 501c3 to receive that money. And then December to July is really heavy duty fundraising for the project. And then the timeline on the right, it's really important for people to understand that this discussion has been going on for 5 years, and we're still 2 more years out. So looking with optimism, the park grant would be awarded in November of 2025. And from November to July is the design and survey work. And then a project would go out to bid in July of 2026. We would expect construction to happen in the fall and spring. So we're looking at a skate park construction, like a skate park ribbon cutting in probably May of 2027. The asterisk on the park grant is that as a group, we learned yesterday that the amount of the park grant has been reduced. So the state grant program last year had $500,000 available for communities, and this year it's been reduced to $425,000. So that puts us in a difficult spot in a conversation that we're all having the past day. The parks director let us know that he found this out yesterday. Part of our discussion would be with the CPA to see if there's any potential to modify our request. We would try to step to the table and talk about more money coming in under fundraising. But with this change in the park grant, it leaves $75,000 in question. And so that's a really new development. Most people in the room don't know that, but it's that 2 steps forward, 1 step back, that we've been battling this project for quite a while. So I think with that, maybe turn it over to some members of the public, if you would. There's quite a few people who are here who want to chime in, and we're here for questions.
Before we do that, I want to pause. Thank you, Jeff. For the people that already presented, members of the committee, are there anybody who has questions for the people that already presented? I have a couple questions. As far as you were talking about the 10,000 square feet reduced to 6,000 square feet, just for context, as far as understanding what that looks like, do you know approximately how big the Northampton skate park is?
Yeah, it's probably about 12 to 15,000 square feet.
Okay, so it'd be half the size of that.
Yeah, but one of the things that we talk about as a group a lot is that we're not trying to create a regional skate park in Easthampton. We just don't have the space for it. What we do know is that Northampton is a regional skate park. Springfield is going to be a regional skate park. That's going to be about 10,000 square feet. So there's varied sizes of skate parks.
Yeah.
So there's regional parks that are destination parks people will travel to. Then there's neighborhood parks, which is kind of what we're building here, like a 5 to 6,000 square foot park. And there's also things called skate docks, which is just a legal place to skateboard with a few small obstacles. So we would be doing the neighborhood size skate park, which it is a neighborhood skate park, but also would be tying it into this ecosystem with Northampton on the bike path to the north. You have Easthampton. And then once the connection on the bike path is made, the Westfield skate park, which is going to be completed in 2026, is also right off the bike path in Westfield. So you have 3 parks, and then you create this nice little skate park ecosystem. People will be traveling from town to town because they all live with it. That's a big thing here is it creates a tourism aspect because all these places look different. So people will be traveling.
Thank you. You mentioned fundraising. There was fundraising done in the first phase. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And is there any, like, I just kind of how has that gone and where is that at now?
We did fundraising and we had three fundraising events with, 100 people that showed up. And every time we did a fundraising event, people always asked, where's the skate park going to be? Where's the skate park going to be? We never actually had a location. So we stopped doing fundraising because we just couldn't tell people where a skate park was going to be, and to take their money and not give them something, it wasn't working out for us. So we took a step back on the fundraising until we get the location dialed in and know that we have the funding, other sources of funding besides fundraising to move forward with it.
I want just to add something that, we are happy to be working with the Parks Director and the Parks Commission, but the Parks Director has taken this project on. He couldn't be here tonight. I don't know if he informed you of that, but he knows we're here. He's sponsoring the project. When we were talking about fundraising, one thing I think that's important to point out is that if the CPA money is granted, we would be applying for the park grant. And when the park grant is awarded, we're not straight to construction. There's still a year. So the discussion that we had with the Parks Director was that his expectation would be that we would be at 80% of the fundraising goal by the time the project goes out to bid. So estimating the project going out to bid by like July or August 2026, that would be our target. And I think in talking with the group, what would serve us the best is if we get the CPA vote, we apply and we get the park grant. If it wasn't clear, the CPA money is contingent upon the park grant. Once the city receives the park grant, I think that's when we have really great talking points. We have the ability to go out to businesses and organizations and seek the final funding. So that was why that tentative timeline was there for fundraising.
Yeah.
I don't know who can answer this. When you go out for funding, will you have a design in place to show people this is what it's going to look like? Because I know that there's program, what's the name of that company? The Platform Group had those pictures and things, but it didn't look like an actual design. And I'm wondering because to me, that's important. If you ask for money, this is what it's going to look like. Now we know where it's going to be. This is what it's going to look like. Is that something that doesn't get done until you get funding?
It's going to be done alongside the community. So part of the funding request is for the design funds. But we're designing it with a reputable company alongside the community. So one, that you're getting a good product, and two, that the community is going to have input. We don't want to design it on behalf of the community and say, hey, pay for this, because they might not like it.
I get you. That's a good point. Jeff, maybe you know this. What is the likelihood of the park grant not being awarded? I mean, we've had park grants denied in the past.
Crystal ball, we feel like together, the committee and the city would put forward a good application, because what they really look for is the city's contribution. So having the CPA vote, in hand with the park grant application, I do have experience with the program, and what they really want to see is that the project has most, if not all, the funding together, because they want to put forward money to something that's going to get built. So the strategy that the city has deployed is to go for the CPA money early, to get your vote and put it with the application. So the funding, the grant source knows that the city has already voted that money. So knowing that the CPA vote has to go to city council, we would be hoping that that city council vote could happen before July 18th or 14th when the application is due. And that helps the state funders know that this is a real project, that they should fund it because it will actually happen. So hopefully that answers that question. Tough one.
It's tight because we vote on the 12th of June, and I don't know, there's a second meeting of city council. So we'd have to get there. This is the former city councilor thinking of timelines. So
There's a June There's a June 18th meeting
That's
of the
usually-
council, and there's a July 9th meeting of the council.
My point is, if there's a June 18th meeting, that's when the
First meeting.
application has to be presented.
No, I think it's July, correct?
Yeah, I was gonna look up.
No,
the
no,
date.
I'm
It's
talking
early
about Finance Committee gets this in June 18th.
Yeah.
And it's approved early in July. That works. Because they only have one meeting. That's why I'm.
I believe there is a window though, because Westfield just applied for the land and water grant and they didn't have all of their funding in place before they got approved.
What's the deadline for applying for the park grant?
July 8th.
Oh,
July
boy.
8th. It's not required. It just puts forward the best foot. As Jeff said, they do allow, I think the park grant allows the vote to happen all the way up until like December or
You
something.
get CPA
But,
approval.
you know, this group and this effort, we would be willing to go to city council for a letter of support in the interim to let them know it's coming and just understand that, you know, if ideally, if this group, you know, funds the project, we know we've talked to city councilors who generally say that they support the project. So it's not as if it's a terrible thing that
No,
city
it's just
council-
bureaucracy. Okay, thank you, Scott.
With the recent news that there might be a gap, do you anticipate changing the number that you would be asking this committee in? I mean, because we're not voting on it tonight. I think just because you found that out yesterday, that's certainly reasonable that you could modify that number. Is that something you're considering for the vote in a month?
We would like to have the committee entertain, increasing the amount as much as you are comfortable with. I tried to catch the spreadsheet as it went up in your introduction. I don't know exactly what the remainder is or what your requirements are, but we would love to have the committee entertain the idea, as much as you feel that the committee would tolerate. Because we're already in at, 75,000 for fundraising is significant.
Yes.
It's gonna be, that by itself is gonna be huge. We did talk, you know, as a group, there's one known grant. Everyone usually asks what other grants are out there. The Tony Hawk Foundation, I think it's called the skate park, project. They are something that we've talked about applying for, but what they do is give small grants to many, many places. So, you know, that's like a $20,000 or $25,000 grant that we kind of already had penciled in under the fundraising category for us. So this news was kind of shocking when we got it yesterday. Eddie and I received the call, so we're not sure how to navigate it, but we wanted to come tonight because everybody was, you know, coming to show support.
No, I think on the bright side, I think the good thing about it happening yesterday is that you were able to present it to us tonight, so that it's not new news in a month. But I think that's something that it could be considered.
Thank you.
Any other members? Sorry, we're about to do the public. Before we do the public speak, I just want to say I really appreciate everybody coming out. This project I know has been going on for a long time, and I think the committee's done an amazing job in presenting a narrative that really shows like how much public support it has and how long that's been going on. We're going to open it up to public speak. I want everybody to know that just by showing up, I tell a lot of people are here for the skate park. Just by showing up, you've already spoken in some way. So don't feel like you need to say something to make your voice heard, because like just having a room full shows us a lot as far as community support. Also, hey, you guys, you know what this means? You. Hey, you know what this means?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Agree.
Yeah, agree. So this is a school teacher coming at me. So if someone's saying something that you agree with, that you're like, you know what, I don't need to repeat the exact same thing that person said. If you go like this, that means like, yeah, I'm saying that too. So it's a way to sort of amplify the voice of people that are saying that.
I love it.
All right, cool. And with that, we'll open it up to the public. Does anybody would like to speak?
Yes.
Go for it. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Bob McDonald. This is my wife, Nance McDonald. We built the first skateboard park back in 1997. In a matter of 3 months' time, we raised $25,000 and we put together the skateboard park down in Millside, which was at that time nothing but the Eugene Flaherty Municipal Parking Lot. It was there for a number of years, used by many kids. because it was the first one, it had to be fenced in, it had to be regulated, it had to be guarded, it had to be controlled. They had to pay fees to get in there. That no longer is the case anymore because skateboard parks are everywhere. The problem was that it got taken down and moved to Chesterfield without our knowledge. Nobody said nothing. Nobody let us know about it. Someone said, "Hey, what happened to the skateboard park?" And we're like, "I don't know." And since then, we've been told that someday it will come back. We're here helping these guys try to make that happen. And if we can do $25,000 in 3 months' time to build one, I'm sure these guys will be able to come up with the funding that they're going to need within the time frame. But what we're looking at is your help to help them for us in memory of our son.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna have it. My son came home from school one day, and he was a very caring boy. He was 16 years old. And he said, "Ma, they're taking all the skateboards away from the kids that are riding on the streets." He says, "No, is there something we can do to help them?" A couple of weeks later, he was killed coming home from school in a car accident. And 2 weeks after I buried my son, I went to the businesses in town. I walked every single one, asking them, "Please, will you donate to do a skateboard park?" We did have the money within 3 months. I didn't do it for my son. I did it for the kids that he was worried about. Today, I'm here for these children to ask, can you please consider, again, to give them a place to go. Maybe some kids play sports, baseball, but this is a sport. I'm just asking you, please reconsider, give them a place to go.
I love it. We do this as a.
You, introduce yourself.
Thanks. Hi, my name is August Ryan. I'm a local skateboarder. Me and many other local skaters have been hoping for safe, well-run skate park where kids can go outside, have fun, make friends. Many other high-quality skate parks are about 20 minutes to an hour away, and it would mean a lot for us to have a local skate park to go to.
Thank you. Yeah, he's like this. We'll figure it out. It'll be good. Okay. Who else?
I have a lot of things to say, I guess. I feel like I'm coming at this from a few different angles. A skateboarder, skateboarding. Since,
Say your name for the record.
Sorry, my name's Roy Syriac. I currently living in Holyoke, Northampton. Shortly, I own a business in Northampton that was previously in this town. Sorry, I'm a little worked up from their story over there a little bit. Yeah, I mean, like as a skateboarder, like having a safe place to go skateboarding is not only like something I think everyone should have. You know, any given town, even like the smallest, most rural town, has a place for someone to play basketball, someone a field to play catch in. I just think that at this point in time, it's just like an obvious choice to have in any town, even on the smallest of scales, like Jeff was saying. I also just think, coming from this as a father, that I worry about towns having community spaces for kids to spend their time at. I grew up in a time frame where I had a lot of freedom, and I was lucky to have a skate park. I grew up in Chicopee. It was not a great skate park, but it just still kept me like out of a lot of trouble. I met some of the people in this room who I've known for 20 plus years and can call really good friends. I just think skateboarding is a really awesome community thing that, is really hard to replace. And then the third thing I want to bring up as a business owner, my business, as I said, I own Source. We're now in Northampton. We were on Main Street in Easthampton for about a year. Easthampton, while Hyde Street and even Main Street has a lot of stuff going on in it, it's very like nightlife oriented. It's a lot of places to go out for a show, to get dinner, to go out for a drink, to watch the game at the bar. There's not a lot of stuff going on during the day to draw people into the retail shops. And that's why I feel like the retail aspect in Easthampton is lacking in some ways. Forced me and my business partner to move our store to Northampton. We're paying more in rent, but we get the foot traffic. It's a big give and take. But I do feel like things like community spaces that draw people to your town and to your city is huge for local business, and you can really especially this location being right next to all the mill buildings and all the businesses in there. I cannot imagine it being a negative aspect for any of those businesses.
Thank you.
Yep.
Who's next? Yeah, go for it. Make sure you say your name.
My name is Tellis Dion, and my dad is over here, and we like to skateboard at the Easthampton Skate Park, and Noah, I think, is online right now, and we like to go skate there each Friday.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else want to say something? Yeah, go for it.
I'm not going to do an articulate job of these guys because I don't look like ever, but I'm an Easthampton resident. My name's Rick. I live on Park Street, just on the gallery. Actually, we can see out the window the spot you're looking at. I've brought people from Paris, Korean bookbinder, people from London, a guy from the former Yugoslavia, and people came from Brooklyn, and friends were crossing from London, and we did a presentation. So bringing people to that area, trying to, commit to where I live in a really meaningful way. That I grew up skateboarding in Manchester, in England, sort of late 80s, right into I'm 50 now, so right into my late 20s, 30s, and then again in COVID, Joe convinced us to get out for health and mental health reasons to get on the skateboard. But just to be personal about it, it got me through a lot of childhood trauma, skateboarding. I processed a lot of grief in my childhood through that. I learned I connected to music, design, community, art, everything I'm doing now. And I'm passing on to my daughter who's 9, and she's pre-professional ballet training. It's all fed into this intensity, this meaning, and this physical expression of creativity, which I've spent my whole life too. So I just couldn't speak more highly of this community and commitment to where we all live, which we absolutely love where we live, and we're all here for the same reason. So just wanted to share a bit of positive energy about how I feel about skateboarding.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. I'm Chris, Lyman Ave. I first want to speak to, I think we see all the kids around town right now, all the time on their bikes. And we love the fact that our boys have a town that they can kind of be free range in. It feels like a real, kind of a blast from the past. You just don't hear about that being as much of a thing, but in Easthampton, they have that. I think the skate park would be tremendous to help improve that and for them to have that third space that he's talking about. They don't always want to be at school. They don't always want to be at the house, but having a place where they can go and get together and meet other kids and cohabitate and learn how to have group dynamics, I think is incredibly important. And then from the business perspective, I've worked in the mill building in that back there. I can tell you it would be extremely helpful. It is something that would be a driver. It is difficult at times to that back space there between the park and the building. Those businesses get lost. They get kind of hidden away. Having another touch point in the area, I think would go a long ways towards those businesses better being able to advertise what they're doing, bring the community into that area, have people hit the bike trail and come back. And yeah, so I think it would be, we'd see a synergistic effect in the community of, if we can bring people into that space from, even if it's not just a neighborhood park, I think people would come. And then we'll see tax dollars. We'll see people going into those businesses, helping us to be able to grow sales, really. And that will come back to the city.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Natalia Forchak. I live here in Easthampton. My son Ben, he started skateboarding in January, and it has been, he's the youngest of 3. Well, you can say if you want to check in too, but he's the youngest of 3, and it's really given him something that he can hold and build community around, and it's just been really cool to watch him as an almost 8-year-old do that whole trying something over and over again, and maybe not nailing it right away, but persevering through that. And I'm just it's really, those lessons are that's the foundation of such incredible life lessons. And I've loved watching that. And I would love to see this expand in our community and be open to more people, because the indoor skate park is great, but like, we've been to a couple of the local ones around and everything, and just that interaction across ages, across demographics, it's really incredible for community building, just for connecting people. And yeah, I love it. So I'm really excited about this.
Thank you. Who is it? Edward.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yeah, so this is actually Ted Harvey. I'm over at 21 Button Road. I got 3 boys, so I'm not going to reiterate what a lot of folks in the room already said. One of my kids was definitely one of those bikers downtown today that you probably saw. So I just wanted to put my shout out for supporting this. You know, having that space available would be awesome. We've talked about it in our house for a couple years now. At least 2 of the boys are excited about it, so that's pretty good. And you know, on Food Truck Friday days, something for them to do while we're over at abandoned buildings. So I just wanted to throw out my support for that. So thanks a lot.
Having a beer, you're going to go skate.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you, everybody that came for the skate park. We really appreciate hearing from the community, and when a lot of people show up, that really does mean something. So thank you for that. You're welcome to all come next month, which is when the vote will be. So know that. And
if you have any public comments that you'd like to submit in writing, you can send them to conservation@easthamptonma.gov. My email's on the website, and I can read those into the record at next month's meeting, if you can't be there in person.
I was going to ask both of you, is it appropriate to amend the application at this time, or let them know that I intend to ask for an amendment to the amount? Do we do that now, or do you want to wait till then?
I think if we know the amount, I think it's something that I'd certainly be open to now, if that's what you're proposing.
I want to amend the application to increase it by $50,000. And I suggest that the committee get together to find out how they can raise an additional 25. But that's should I make that in the form of a motion?
Well, I think it's actually, I think it's really up to them to decide what they want to ask for, right? I think it's good to know that you're
I want you to know I support 50,000. I think going for the full 75, given our budget, you know, it hit us, but it also hit you. So if you can get more than, if you can get to 100,000 in fundraising, I think.
Sure.
Question. Since I'm new to this commission and seeing the spreadsheet in quarters, so if we fund what is funded, there was 214,000 left at the end of the quarter. What happens to that money at the end of the quarter?
It rolls over till next year.
And then is there additional funding we get next year?
Yeah.
Yes.
So then
Yeah.
the new fiscal, you can speak.
Yeah. So I did print out the budget that this committee agreed on in February, and this budget hasn't made it through. It's still in the city processes, so it's still considered a draft budget. But let me just pull it up.
811, 300,000 was requested.
Yes. Pull it up on the screen.
Well, that includes the state match. I don't think that's what the request is.
They requested 175 for that.
Yeah, so
This is the budget.
this is the budget. So this column, the I column here in the black, is what's gonna be counted in our funding spreadsheet starting on July 1. So once we're in the first quarter of fiscal 26, we'll be considering requests, including these funds. Like considering these funds. Yes, exactly. So there'll be an additional 110 deposited into the open space set aside, an additional 110 set aside into deposited into the historic preservation set aside, 200,000 deposited into the affordable housing set aside, which I'll remind the committee we did so that funding would immediately go to Ferry Street, which the committee's already promised. And then an additional 371,000 deposited into the reserve fund, which is open money. Right? Funds that can be used for any of those 3 previously designated uses.
And that doesn't include what we have
at the
Left
end.
over.
Exactly. Yep. And then the
Well
fourth,
over $1 million.
right. So the fourth quarter funds will roll over. This column, yeah, either depending on how the committee chooses to vote, either the orange row or the yellow row.
I mean, I'm inclined to do the full 75,000. I think the park grant has typically been 500,000 for the past several years, and to have it suddenly be different and finding out the day before they're submitting the request, I feel like we have 200,000 left at the end of the fourth quarter, and I think
Go to
raising
75.
75,000 is a lot that they're already raising, and given the support for this project, I'd like them to have that to go through.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you. Yeah.
you said it's up to them to apply.
Yeah, it's up to
So
them to
they have
decide.
to amend their application, just going through process here, get it back to Eva, and we vote on that amended application.
I think that would be a way to do it, or you could make an amendment at the time of voting. I think that could also happen that way.
Yeah, I mean, what I'd prefer is, I think it's important, actually, thank you for saying that, and I think it's important for the skate park committee to hear the feedback of the members of this committee now. So if anybody else has anything to say about this now, I think this is a good time. And then I think it's up to the skate park committee to decide what you are applying for coming back, is how I would like that to work.
If we, sorry, this is like maybe a dumb question. If we amend this application, is it like all or nothing? Like if you don't like the
No.
number? Okay, all right.
No, and so I'd like you to come back asking for something, and at that next meeting, we could say, well, we think we actually want to fund this different number instead. Absolutely.
The
But
motion,
I do think it's important for you to apply for something.
Yeah.
particularly because we could probably use a revised like budget with the revenue streams and the.
Yeah, I think it would be
cost
good to
estimates.
actually see, yeah, if you're asking for something that, because in another meeting, now, I think coming back and sharing publicly, okay, now this is our new budget, this is what we're looking at, I think would be, and this is why we're asking for this number. I think that'd be helpful.
Like this would be the sheet that we'd want
Yeah.
revised.
I think we appreciate this conversation a lot. I think we were working with the Parks Director. We had two calls in the past 2 days. It's a little bit unclear our authority, but as a group, we would ask to have you consider the full additional requests, an additional 75,000. But I think the Parks Director needs to be on board with that. We did hear that the mayor was skeptical and concerned with spending the money down for being worried about future requests next year. So we're not sure how those things factor in, but I think as a group, we would like to talk to the Parks Director about amending to the full 75 additional, and then have the committee vote in June, however you please, based on that.
And it is a good moment to remind the committee and everyone in the room that the Parks Director is the signature. He is the applicant of this project. So the skate park committee is the representative and the enthusiast, but the actual applicant himself is the Parks Director.
And he'll be here in June.
He'll be here in June.
And I think he was not opposed to us having the conversation with the committee about the gap. But the next step, I think, would actually be the director's decision. But we would love it, because I think the one last thing I would say about funding it fully is it creates the package that I think to member Risk's question, if we can fill this gap with the CPA funds, it makes our application very strong moving forward. And that's the ultimate goal, is to get this park grant in this round. We were pretty worried about the other projects that the city has in the pipeline, the other park improvements, the other projects that are slated for park grant in the coming years. We would hate for this project to slip for this reason. To try to secure the funding now would be really beneficial for the project overall.
That's an important statement. I didn't know that, so this is good. I would support the 75 down here, guys. Just want you guys to know where I'm at.
Thank you.
But I really encourage you to meet as a committee to discuss fundraising, because I think that's important. This leverages your fundraising. And I think it's important that you decide, can you raise the 75? Can you raise more? Given what I've heard from the McDonald's, this has to happen. So we'll see what we can do. Thank you.
Any other members?
Learn something.
Any other questions from the committee? All right, thank you, skate park.
Thank you.
Enthusiasts.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Eva, thanks for running the slideshow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Whitman.
Thank you.
Thank you
Sorry
all.
for your loss. That's horrible. I mean, we'll keep them off the streets. Get some on skate. Children's Memorial.
Right next door.
Right over in the John.
Are you here for the skate park?
What?
Sorry, you guys went sack. There was a whole room there, but thanks.
Everybody's got a waste.
Oh, right over here. Yes.
Is that you?
That's us too. Oh, good for you guys.
When we lost the skateboard park, we built the children's room.
Nothing.
I don't want more names there, so let's just give me a safe place to go.
How about that? Excellent.
Thank you so much.
No slideshows.
No slides.
Appreciate it.
You've
Thanks.
been here so many times, but haven't.
You know you had to deal with us all
So-
back then, huh?
Thank you so much for sharing that history.
It's hard. I guess it brings me back.
Yeah, that's.
Thank you so much for being
Thank
able
you
to.
so much.
Thank you.
Do you folks want to join us at the table? Sure. Come on up.
Yeah, there you go.
Too.
I'm sorry, there's not other committee members here. This is sad.
I don't know, but this is our least attended meeting and
We had 9 at the last meeting.
yeah, we had everyone.
It's really good you came because we wouldn't have had.
You would have had
quorum.
quorum, because I
No
was,
Were you not?
I was on board like,
I
I got an
want
event
to
today.
committee folks that you should give me a heads up if you're not going to make it to a meeting.
I think that would be courtesy.
I'll communicate
Mr.
with the four
Chairman, I
members.
think.
Someone did.
No one did.
No one did?
No one let me know. Did
No.
someone let you know?
No.
But someone let.
Well, Greg,
An
because
hour.
he wanted to know if the clock was, I said, the clock's not on the agenda, so.
Anyway, we'll hope to have better attendance next month. Kira is just in the bathroom,
Okay,
so we're just gonna wait for a minute.
sounds good.
Can you just put their current, is the budget that we have in the packet still current?
I think Ava has an updated budget.
Can you put that up, Eva?
I have a printed version if you don't, but I can
Yeah,
share.
no, I got it. Is this looking good, Burns? Post bid recap.
You're gonna challenge my site here.
I know, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
For 2025.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
It's a little bit different.
Old Town Hall project updates. We have a couple of members here.
Hi,
There you go.
I'm Burns Maxey, President of City Space. Thank you for having us. We are here to share some good news about the Old Town Hall project. It has been a long haul. This project has preceded City Space being in the building since 2006. And I'll tell you, there's been people in this community talking about adding an elevator and an addition to this building. I don't know how long.
First I heard about it was in the 80s.
In the 80s. It's been a while.
It's back when Mike was 10.
Yeah.
Well, I wish. Yeah, the city over the town and the city over the years have looked at, I think, 3 or 4 different potential elevators in that building. Never got one that fit right. We did install a chair lift that never functioned appropriately. It worked once in a while. This particular concept is not one that we ever looked at. We always looked at trying to put an elevator in the building. And so this concept really flies, and
Right.
especially for City Space, because it's designed around what the intent is for the building in the long run.
And after we invested so much into the first floor, so we put over $1 million already into the first floor of the building. If you haven't been in there, I invite you to come and, we could give you a tour, or you can just come to an event that we're already having there. But we didn't want to disrupt the funding that we've already put in place. And I was just at the historic commission's meeting last night and was talking to them about this very thing.
and talking about not disrupting the historic quality of the space, the entryway that we've already created, the restrooms that we've invested in, the stairwells that really create a beautiful entryway into the building. So keeping that, and then what was approved by the Mass Historic Commission is on the left-hand side of the building. It nicely suits where the library annex is right across the street, the crosswalk, and goes directly in there. So it starts to create this kind of district that is the Main Street Historic District. So we're here tonight really to tell you that we're very excited that with the second bid on the elevator and entryway, we have the lowest bidder is Kiter Corporation. And
Kiter was the low bid on the first round.
They were.
When we didn't have enough funding.
This project came in initially about $1 million over. So the first time we went out to bid, it was that much more. And as you might remember, some of you, we came back to the CPA committee and we said, can you release additional funds? And then we're also going to go to the state and ask them for additional funds. And here we are. We raised those funds. We went out to bid again. The project did come in more than anticipated. So it's now about a $3.9 million project. The actual construction of and contract with Kiter is for $3.6 million. And that's about $300,000 more than we anticipated for this project. So it's going to be a tight budget for us as we move forward with the addition of the elevator and entryway. But we're happy to move forward with the contract almost in place. So we're just finishing some of the bond and insurance information that Kiter has to add to their to the contract to move forward. And then a couple of things will happen. We'll be having a kickoff meeting with Kiter, as well as tenants and Kuhn Riddle Architects, and we're going to have a groundbreaking. So we want to invite the CPA to be a part of this, Historic Commission, the many volunteers that have been a part of this project, the mayor, politicians, the municipal leaders who have been involved in participating and making this happen over time. I do want to say, let's see, a couple of really exciting things that we've found out recently is that we just received additional historic tax credit application, positive response to that. And we have over $1 million in historic tax credits that'll come back for the project once we've finished it. So we don't get the historic tax credits initially, but once the project's completed, we essentially are able to sell off those tax credits and it'll go directly back into the historic Old Town Hall. So it's really exciting. And I want to—
it needs it.
It does need it. It does need it. It's an old building. As you know, those old buildings need constant support. There's a couple of things that have happened since we've talked. I think we have a number of volunteers that have come forward to support the project beyond some of those that you have seen over time, such as Mike Tausnick and myself, and the many board members, as well as volunteers. One person is Bob Parent, who is the capital projects manager of in Amherst, and he's a Easthampton resident, and he's really participated in helping with Mike along to facilitate the construction documents and the bid documents for the project with Kuhn Riddle Architects. And he's volunteering his time, and that is just an incredible amount of savings for us, as well as expertise. We've been able to make these bid documents so much better, so that folks, so that our project, once it's underway, we feel like it's really tight, and that Kiter is a good contractor. Not that we have a choice. It was a public bidding project. So they were the lowest bidder, but my understanding is they have done this type of project many times before, and word on the street is that they stay within their budget. So fingers crossed, we can meet that. The mayor, the city council, the CPA have been really supportive of this project over time. And the city planning's office, I just want to say the CPA, along with the city planner's office of planning office, since this project began, has just been really instrumental. That putting away $250,000 each year towards this multi-million-dollar project has been instrumental in making it happen, and just having that foresight. Now that Ava's here, it's just having this breadth of knowledge and understanding and administrative skills is really great to have. So I'm really excited about how we're moving forward. And yeah, we're not here to ask for any additional funds. We're just here to give you some good news.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the contracts,
I want you to, go ahead, Michael.
well, the contracts have been executed. As Vern said, we're just waiting on some statutory things that the contractor didn't provide. 100% performance bond, 100% payment bond. And we also want to make sure that we get the city on the builder's risk insurance. So they gave us builder's risk, the city space as the named insured, and that's good. But the city also needs to be on that because it obviously is a city building.
Yeah. Okay.
And so they're cleaning that up at this point. And I would expect that by sometime next week, I'll return this signed document. So we have all the signed documents, but we're not returning them until all of the statutory requirements for awarding are actually in hand. And so we're excited. I'm a little nervous. This is a tight contingency. There's about $64,000 or somewhere around $60,000. Now, many of the numbers in here are pretty firm. And that's a really small amount when you consider that we're going to excavate the left side of the building down to the footing. And that's kind of an unknown. So cost on this project is high, but partly because there is no space on the site. So there's no, what they call laydown area at all. Any materials that are going to be used on the site have to be brought there. Any materials that are removed from the site, including all the fill that's got to come out, has to be trucked. No place to stockpile anything. The part that makes me nervous is that I don't think that ground has been disturbed since 1869. And
There is a time capsule in there.
somewhere around that building is a time capsule.
I have a
Maybe
newspaper.
we'll discover it.
When is that from? Newspaper.
I think it's from the 80s, actually.
1980.
Will you bring the time capsule to the committee?
Of course, if we find it.
But the board voted to go forward with the numbers that you see. We're committed to raising more money as we move forward. And so if the project starts when the project starts, it'll likely be, we haven't met yet, but based on preliminary conversations, it's probably going to start in July. And the first thing that you'll notice is a handicap ramp in the front of the building. Because the first thing to come off the building is going to be the existing handicap slope that's there. We are moving city records because the city records room is being affected. So under our lease, the city has the right to have a records room in the basement, and they do. But the elevator machine room is going to cut into that. So we have to reconfigure that. We have to move a lot of stuff around in order to be able to get the space. But we've been clearing things out. We had a bunch of chairs down there that we were able to give away to the Elks who needed them. So it's nice a nonprofit can give to another nonprofit.
And just to speak to that, those of you that are new to the committee, the elevator goes all the way to the basement and all the way to the first floor, second floor, and to the balcony. So it'll be the first time in the building's history that there's ever been that accessibility to all the floors in the building, which is really exciting, especially when we think about accessibility, barriers to access, when we think about our seniors that have been in the building, have gotten married in the building, had sock hops, are new to the area and want to see a performance in the building. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth throughout the rest of the building. And it's the next step to the second floor restoration. Excuse me.
Oh, no, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I can go on forever. Probably ought to let me stop and answer any questions.
Right.
I just have a question. You said, so July is looking to break.
In our preliminary conversations,
Yeah.
we're looking at July as the
mean, that's-
beginning of the project.
I think that's great. I think I think that will be great for enthusiasm for the project, right?
Yes.
Because it's so visible and
Yes.
it's been talked about for a long time, right? And I think probably some people say like, what's going on with that? But to see it actually going, I think will really restart that enthusiasm and or relight it more, so
Absolutely. It'll
I think that's really exciting. When is there an estimated time of completion? Just
Well, the contract provides for 15 months.
15 months.
So
Okay.
we haven't contracted yet, so that information will likely come out between now and August.
Okay.
The contractor will provide a schedule of values, sort of a schedule of what their work progress is going to be. But I think we allowed, in the bid, we allowed 15 months from contract date.
And the use of the building in those 15 months, like how much will that be impacted as far as people
So
renting out
that's-
space or anything like that?
That's part of our first meeting. It's anticipated that there may be some disruption in, electrical outages as some of the.
Well, sewer and water are
Sewer
gonna
and
be
water,
one
yeah.
thing. So right now, the sewer and water service come in on that side of the building. The sprinkler service comes in on the opposite side of the building. So on the south side, we've got sewer and water that has to be relocated. So we think, well, I can't speak for the contractor. I would guess they'll
I'm
be.
just looking at, just for.
There'll be a
Kind of know what's going
There'll
on.
be a 2 or 3 day period when there won't be occupancy in the building because there won't be running water or an active sewer connection.
Right.
Electrical should be short duration. We had, I think, about a 6-hour electrical break when we replaced the initial service in the first phase. I don't expect that we're gonna get much longer than that in this phase. There may or may not be a transformer change. So there's a few things that are up in the air.
But short duration, not
Short
like,
duration.
oh, that the room
No.
is out of commission for months at a time.
Right,
No.
no, so we have,
That's
part of our economic model for the building is, to keep our tenants moving, to
Yeah, well,
keep
that's what I'm
activity in the
getting at, yeah.
building, the blue room going, and we, we'll be working with, the contractors to build a timeline for that.
Right.
So, there's always there could be bumps in the road, but we are anticipating that it'll be nominal, so.
You're still booking things in advance into that time.
We are.
Not concerned
And,
about it.
and the contract calls that the building will continue to be in use, except for these brief
Yeah,
periods.
right.
And we've also, in the special conditions of the contract, we've set some requirements about the neighbor to that side of the building. It's a daycare center
Oh, yeah,
in the former church. And the property line, if you drive by, you see 2 sidewalks on the left. One is our handicap sidewalk, the other is their access. Property line is right down the middle of those 2 sidewalks. And so it's going to be a very complicated project on that side to be able to get deep enough in the earth to be able to put in the footings and foundations for this elevator addition and be that close to the property line. So it's a part of the complication of it.
Sure. That makes sense.
I had a conversation with the mayor, because I've been the biggest supporter of this project for years. And it talked about reimbursement rate. And I know that you have an amended contract that calls for 70% reimbursement rate. Now, I should know this, but I don't ever recall a project in which reimbursement rate was an issue.
Well,
Because, well, let me finish my thoughts. There's $2,152,000 in a CPA account, correct, Eva?
Correct.
So you get a bill from your contractor. You have to pay it and then submit for reimbursement from the city at 70% because that's the contract. What I don't understand, and Eva, is maybe state law, why there has to be reimbursement at all? Why can't you just give the contractor's bill to the city to be paid?
Well, a couple of things to say, but I'll answer the last part of that question first. The city is not the project proponent. City Space is.
Okay.
So the city has no legal right to pay our contractor.
I thought that might be the case. So
So in the case of a city project, we do pay
I have
John,
that.
right, John
And this
Mason
maintains city
pays,
spaces independence financially.
right. So like John Mason pays contractors
I got you.
directly.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just
And
wanted
the
to-
percentages have been this carryover from probably 2000 and maybe 22. We had a conversation here when we were looking up the numbers for this. And the question came, well, how much of this project is the city CPA money expected to cover? And we came up with a percentage. And that turned into a reimbursement rate, which was
54%.
54 point something percent. And that's fine, but my concern is cash flow. I'm the treasurer, so my concern is cash flow. And if we get a $700,000 bill, we have to spend $700,000. And if we get 5 of those in a row, we're gonna be at some point waiting for reimbursement because we have $700,000 coming from the state. And right now, on the grant that we're using for the current work,
We have two state grants that are reimbursement grants from the Massachusetts Cultural Council and Mass Development.
but the current turnaround is over 45 days.
For state grants.
It's state money.
It's been really
And
slow.
that puts a big hole in, I mean, we have almost 1.1 million in the bank. We're likely gonna have more than that by the time the project starts. And that seems like a big number until you start understanding that some of it goes away every time we pay a bill. And so one of the reasons I think we came back to ask for the amended 75% reimbursement is to help soften that cash flow problem.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I just wanted to ask if you both anticipate coming back, should the project come over budget?
No.
What the ask to
So
CPA?
we're looking at alternative options for funding that is outside of the CPA for this phase of the project. So there's additional funds that are allocated for phase 3. And this project went from a $6.4 million project originally that, to our knowledge, is now over $11 million total. And when we originally came to I know it's just astounding. And that was in 2018.
2018 is
Yeah.
when we started this year.
Yeah, so it's, it's mind blowing to think of that increase in cost. We've had a lot that, if you think of, we launched our capital campaign in 2019 and we all know what happened the year after that. And we went to our funders and we said, should we keep doing this project? Do you want to see this happen? And they were like, yes, this is hopeful. This is what we want to see. We're going to get through this. And community is what is going to keep us together and bring us together. And this building is so important to the historical integrity of the Main Street Historic District that we were like, okay, so we're going to chop it up into 3 phases. And that's what we did. And now we're into phase 2. And it increases the overall cost of the project. Supply chain issues as well as inflation costs also adds to that tally. So, we will likely be looking for additional funds from the CPA for phase 3. But for phase 2, we do not, we'd like to look at alternative options at this point. Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you have 30 days to pay the bill? But if you don't pay the bill, you don't get reimbursed, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, I mean, I can't submit a request for reimbursement unless I give you a canceled check. So, and that's the same with the state grants as well. So we have to have the money up front. I mean, hopefully the float is under 30 days. I'm sure with the city it will be, because once there's a PO out there, it's just a warrant cycle. So I'm not really worried about the city's speed of reimbursement. But I am concerned about this. The states has slowed down significantly. And that, we'll try to spend their money down as soon as we can. There are some strings on the underutilized property grant that doesn't allow us to spend on everything. And so we're gonna have to take bits and pieces of what gets done that fits their budget. And so there'll be this, how do we, we're gonna have to kind of carve up the way we seek reimbursement from them. And that may in fact impact the way we seek reimbursement from the city. We'll have to see how that plays. But,
Yeah, we tried to anticipate that and think about, we essentially had to match the grant amount, which was a little over $500,000 to specific amounts, specific portions of the project that would be coming first. So
I think we have detail on it, but essentially it's the foundation work, it's the steel work, the stuff that we know is going to happen early on in the project. Some things they won't, it wouldn't be able to cover the handicap ramp. Because it's not a part of, it's not a part of what they want to use it for. And it would be nice if we could find an elevator grant.
right, well, yeah, so I've been talking to the planning department, to the planner about an ADA grant, that I was gonna help with that, and make sure that we're, applicable for that. So that's due soon in June. So, so that's a possibility. Also donations, additional grants. We also have a really positive, the first floor, we have a lot going on the first floor already right now. And we're actually have another small capital project on the first floor that is also a reimbursement grant. So things have gotten, a little complicated this year with this project coming underway. But we're really, we're doing a good job moving forward with it. So.
Yeah, and as the chair has mentioned, once the construction starts, it really is going to increase, the viability of it in people's minds. And we're already, some of us are already talking about how to approach folks about continuing to help fund us privately.
Yeah. Well, if you build it, I think they will come. I strongly feel that way. Visibility is everything. They see their money, if they're given to you in the past, they see it finally being used from the road. I mean, yes, you've used it, but that's kind of hidden.
Yeah.
This is quite visible. So I really
Everybody in
feel
the
this.
city will see it.
Absolutely.
Right, like everybody in the city
Well,
will drive by.
It's a common, comment that I hear is when people come into the building for the first time, they're like, I had no idea what this was, because it looks like an old church and it's an old town hall, and it has that historic look and feel. So this will really provide, a facade on the side of it that'll be like, okay, so, and there will be some signage for city space that will add to that, and give some people some context for what's happening in this building.
So just to be clear for the committee, the reimbursement rate, an amendment to the reimbursement rate is an amendment to the grant funding contract, which is the contract between the city and City Space. So you all are not actually a party of that grant contract. I'm not sure if you all are seeking anything else from the committee regarding the reimbursement rate.
We're not. No, we've talked it over with the procurement officer, Michael Owens, and the mayor, and we are continuing that conversation to amend that contract to help us with the cash flow side of things and increase the percentage rate of that reimbursement. So thank you, Ava, for that information. And so that's all we're here tonight, is just to share the good news, and we will be extending an invitation to you for the groundbreaking.
Awesome.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Likewise. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll see you again sometime soon.
Yeah. Very soon. At Old Town Hall next time.
There you go. Yeah. Alrighty. Where are we at? Nashawanic Pond retaining wall pre-application letter.
Totally. So we've got a pre-application letter. It's up on the screen for the, so this is our very first quarter fiscal 26 pre-application letter. And I feel very well equipped, as Jay is as well, to speak to this issue, as they've already come to Concom. So let me show you where we're looking. This is a fishing pond embankment in Nonotuck Park on Nashawanic Pond. It's there.
Oh, it's the steps that go down there.
No, it's not
Kind
the
of crossing
steps.
the boat ramp.
Maybe it's actually this one. I feel like they might have circled it wrong. Don't you think? I think it's this one.
Show them, you got the
Is that
detail
within
on it?
Nonotuck Park?
you give
Like when
us-
you go along that trail? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Here, I'll show you. And you can see, yeah.
Is that what you're trying to replace?
Yes.
I think it
I don't
looks
think
like
that's
it.
there. I think that's further.
I think
you're
it's further
right. I
down.
think it's further down.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's like here.
Well, you're not replacing that wall because it looks like it needs it.
No, that was, that is the one
That
being
picture is
replaced.
correct.
Yes. Yeah.
There on the
Is the
other
steps.
point. Well, no, the steps. Actually, the steps I think are here, but this is like a plane that goes kind of down, and there's a tree that was there where it's just a stump now. It kind of slopes down, and it's like an open area.
Yeah.
I think that's over there.
Okay. So this is what we're looking
That's
at.
the wall.
Yep.
Anyway,
wall.
it's on the pond in
Yep.
the park.
Caving in.
This is the Nonotuck
Are we
Park.
gonna use something other than wood?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So great you asked. So they're planning on using stone. So they're planning on
Great
using stone, and it's going to be like a stepped stone structure. I can show you the plans real quick.
To create fishing opportunities.
It has to be a
Yes.
fishing opportunity.
It will be a
Because
fishing
it's
opportunity.
It's a fishing location.
It's a fishing location. It's being
Designated
designed
by
with
who?
fishermen in
The
mind.
fishermen,
Fishermen use it.
they use it a lot.
Okay, but and that's certainly
Right.
that has value, but it's not like it's not like
No.
designated a
No, no,
fishing
there's no
place
official-
from some.
No, there's no secret, no secret.
So
Yeah,
I thought maybe there was a fishing grant that has.
Or something. Yeah, that's what I didn't.
No, there's nothing like that.
Okay, so what's relevant here is on the right side. This is the layout plan that we that is the current construction plan. So they're gonna have, this is the structure that we are actually looking at over here that they're planning on replacing it with. You can see it here. This is the pressure treated wood that's currently there that's falling apart. That's how they're gonna do it. They're gonna create a cofferdam. They're gonna be doing construction in the pond. Crazy. But
Okay.
Concom approved it and they did such a good job. Okay.
I think I drain it and then do it.
They're
Just in
gonna
that little
de-water
area.
300 square feet.
Just 300 square feet.
Just where the wall
You
is.
should have come to the Concom meeting.
All right.
It was an excellent application. Our DP contact had no comments.
Is there a video of it?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
April 28th.
Well, it's nice that you're doing two jobs because
So true.
this makes it easier.
For sure. So this is what it's gonna be replaced by, a like a two-stepped stone embankment. And then there's gonna be additional fishing access on the side over here, which is gonna be more like a set of stairs. So I'll go back to the images real quick. So this is the actual embankment itself, the retaining wall proper. This is it from a different angle. And I have a photo of the side. See that
Oh, maybe it is there.
eroding spot?
Is that
Where that's where the steps are gonna be. So that's a fishing spot access right now. It's a degrading slope.
Maybe it is
And-
that point. Maybe it is circle drain. Anyway.
So
Very good.
very good. Okay, so that's what they're looking at. I'm gonna project their letter. I'll read it really quickly to you or try to summarize. This is from Paul Nowak, who's the chairman of the Nashawanek Pond Steering Committee, a very dedicated volunteer group that sort of slowly but steadily works on a variety of projects to improve the pond. And they've been at it for a very long time. And this is their plan. So the proposed restoration will remove the failing existing structure, replace it with a stepped stone wall in the same location. Replacing the pressure treated wood structure with stone will be more environmentally friendly, and the stepped structure will decrease the height of the wall above the base, improving public safety and access as a fishing location. In addition, the adjacent eroding slope used for informal fishing or shoreside access would be improved with the placement of stone blocks, hopefully using some of the curbing stone removed from Union Street. They have Greg Nettleman.
Stockpile of
Yeah,
curbing stone.
the DPW director is anecdotally on board with that. The project was
Glad he saved it.
project was designed and engineered by GCAG Environmental with the Nashawanek Pond Steering Committee's guidance. The Nashawanek Pond Steering Committee looks forward to restoring this important popular public access point for Nashawanek Pond, improving long-term stability of the structure and improving public safety. So the projected cost from GZA for this overall design is $98,020. And the Nashawanek Pond Steering Committee has already committed $20,000 of those dollars out of their own accounts. So as I said, they are a very dedicated 501(c)(3). They've been fundraising for a long time, and they're going to put $20,000 of their already earned funds towards this. They've already paid GZA $9,700 for the design. And then they paid $370 for the NOI printing and legal ad in the Gazette. And as I mentioned, when they came in front of Concom, you'll note they have no discussion of permitting costs here. That's because they have a professional wetland scientist on their board who did all of this entirely for free and did such a spotless job that Mark Stinson had no comments.
Which is unusual.
Which is extremely unusual. I called the
He's very
state to say,
detailed.
did you leave your comments off? And he said, I had none.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's a good guy. He's very detailed though.
That's good.
So, yeah. So, we'll go back to the available fund balance. This is what we usually do when we have a project that we know is coming. So we don't have the new funds in here yet, right? We don't have the funds that are going to come in from the budget once it's hopefully approved from the city council. But it'll be an ask for $78,000 in the first quarter of fiscal 26.
What's interesting is we'll have a little less than 200 left to roll over if we give skate park 75. That's what that's telling you.
Yes.
But that's okay.
Most of it's tied up in historic. Or half of it's tied up in historic.
What is?
The rollover funds.
Yeah, but we can use them.
Yeah.
I have a project in mind.
Yeah.
When when is round one? When do you get money?
So all of the funds from the budget that
July 1st.
we were looking at, the whole I column will come into our available funds spreadsheet on July 1st. That doesn't actually mean I have those funds in the account. It means that the committee can start appropriating out of those funds.
So that's
Those
what
funds will-
round one is.
Yes, those funds will actually come from the state in November. And the revenue from all of your tax dollars will just keep coming in throughout the year. This committee spends money that this committee does not yet have. But it is projecting for the tax revenue.
Well, so does the city.
Everyone does
Tax
that.
money doesn't
Yes.
come in right away either.
Yeah.
Totally.
We don't start spending
Then I
money
do
till
know
September
what I'm thinking.
25th.
Thank you for presenting that letter. And so we think that they're applying when?
I believe they'll be applying in the first quarter of fiscal 26. So by the July 3rd deadline.
Great. And then they'll be presenting to us and we'll be able to ask any questions that we have.
Exactly.
Awesome. Anything else to say about that?
Pretty straightforward. No, it's pretty, I mean, it needs to happen. It's a risky area right now. So,
cool.
The wall's probably been there for what, 3 years?
well, maybe not 100 years, but really,
It's been there for 20
something years.
Yeah,
right?
97 was when they built it.
So it's just pressure treated, it's just not holding up.
All right,
Okay.
continue business.
Can I ask a procedural question?
yeah.
Since we just had our meeting last night for Parks and Rec and this did not come up at our meeting, I assume it'll be on our June 12, or now it's June 25th meeting. Parks and Rec Commission would have to approve this.
Because it's in
to
non-adjunct park.
be, okay.
I imagine that's true. I will say John Mason did sign their Conservation Commission application. So he's certainly looped into this project
Yeah.
already. And he will also have to be the one to submit the CPA application as well. Yeah.
I don't anticipate it being an issue, but I was just
No.
Just show the pictures. of it.
understanding the procedure. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Okay, so we're talking about preservation plan, and so Kyle wrote us up a scope of services more tailored to Easthampton. I don't know if you all had an opportunity to look at that. It was in the folder. And so there's a couple changes to this, but first I'll just introduce what he proposed. So we talked it over and found
Can you
that,
blow that up?
yeah, for sure. And we saw that, given the other parts of my role as conservation agent, the open space and recreation components of the preservation plan more naturally fit in line with the rest of my job and capacity. So we left that writing and editing section off of the work he would be serving as a consultant. So he would be working on writing and editing the historic preservation section and the community housing section, with the understanding that we'd be doing quite a few back and forths and that we want to engage stakeholders of all of these groups as we work on the writing and editing of these sections. So those meetings I would be part of as well, but the actual physical production of those sections of the eventual preservation plan would be tasked with Kyle, while I did the open space and recreation section. Then there's the introduction and the appendices. That's another 15 hours. And then the revisions. We know that we'll have a lot of revisions. It'll come to you guys. It'll probably come to some of our key project partners for revision. And then there will be this big public hearing where we really introduce it to the public.
So you have, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You know, funding there from fiscal year 2025, is that going to come out of like your administrative account?
So that's what's changed from what's projected here. So my initial thought was that we'd do this in 2 phases. There's like 2,600 left in the
admin account.
Exactly, left in the admin account for this fiscal year. And my hope was that we could use the remainder of that before the end of this fiscal year. However, knowing Kyle's timeline and knowing that our city auditor wants all of those funds to be spent by June 30th, right? She doesn't want an open PO for funds that are not going to be spent until the following fiscal year. We've decided to shift this project fully into fiscal 26.
So what I see there is phase 1, you're going to just do it all in fiscal year 26.
Exactly. So this was likely to be a summertime and fall project.
Those admin monies will.
Well, so the admin money is, and now I'm going to pull up the budget real quick again. So the admin funds are closed out to undesignated. So here's my proposed thought. My proposed thought is that per the budget you all approved in February, that I really do not think we should amend now because it is being under many levels of review within the city. $5,500 will go into the admin expense account on July 1st.
Oh, I see.
We're on row 12.
Yeah.
So my proposal is that we pay for this $5,200 preservation plan consultant assistance out of that $5,500. Now, the other thing we typically fund out of the admin expense account is our membership in the Preservation Coalition, the Community Preservation Coalition. So my proposal is that with the first quarter FY26 supplemental appropriations, this committee appropriates another $2,600 to the admin account that then I can pay the preservation.
That's an internal department transfer.
Is it? Because you're going to have to appropriate it out of the undesignated fund.
Yeah, but you're from one CPA account to another. Find out from Hadel.
I'll find out from Hadel.
Because that just goes through the city council and everything.
I know. Well, we would tie it, we would lump it with the other supplemental appropriations of that quarter.
Well, that wouldn't be till September.
Yes, but that's okay because we are going to have $5,500 in that account from the budget that are going to go in on July 1st, and we can delay our paying of the Preservation Coalition membership until we have additional funds in the account. Does that make sense? It's a little convoluted.
The admin money doesn't have to go through the city council. You just spend it as you need it like that.
Yes.
Fund for the coalition.
Yes. But we're not going to have enough money in the admin account if we pursue the preservation plan and stay in the coalition, which we certainly should do.
Sorry, did you say that the coalition is how much? How much we pay? 26.
I think it might be 28, but it's so
2,000 something.
yeah. And so the thinking with that is that you're not actually committing the same amount as shown as on the slide that I just projected to you, because you're going to have the admin dollars that we didn't spend this year return to the undesignated fund. So they're closed out to undesignated at the end of fiscal 25. And then at some point in fiscal 26, you would be putting those funds back into the admin account.
Yep. That makes sense.
I just think it's, well, maybe not.
I'll figure out if it's an intradepartmental transfer or if it's a supplemental appropriation. But I guess the thing that's on,
It's going from one CPA budget to another. We're not appropriating it to a project, so I don't understand why it could be just an intra-department transfer. Ask Hadel what she thinks.
okay.
But Hadel is God, so if she says no,
So I guess the topic for discussion for the committee right now is the project budget as proposed by Kyle. You don't have to decide right now.
do you trust it?
I think so. I mean, it looks good to me. I think it's gonna be like, that does not cover, I think, what this overall project is gonna take, right? Like, obviously there's the open space and recreation section, but I also am anticipating a lot of pulling together of lots of different groups for each one of those 3 sections that may not be included in those 15 hours.
And I mean, you feel comfortable working with Kyle because you worked with him for months before. I mean,
Right.
Well, the fact that you're writing a third of it, that's big.
But like, I mean, overall, what was the last year we had one?
2018.
Yeah, I mean, we need to do
We need to
it.
get on that. Yeah.
So, and I mean, and like we talked about last time, in future years, it won't be like this. It'll just be revising. But like, we're now 7 years out. Like,
Right. So
we
it's
gotta make it
it's a
happen somehow.
rewrite.
Yeah, right. It is a total rewrite, practically. So if there was I just don't anticipate another way to make it happen that's gonna be significantly cheaper, that's gonna make sense. I mean, Kyle, you work with him. I don't know.
This
So
does not
this-
look out of control at all.
Yeah,
so.
that's
No,
my
I
thought.
think you should move forward. Do you need a vote or something?
I don't think I need to vote at this time. I mean, I guess whatever financial process we're gonna need to do to add those extra funds
Find out what
in
that needs to be. and then-
early fiscal 26, that's gonna need a vote from
But
the
just-
committee at that
But
time.
I think actually it'd be good just to make sure we support this so that you can go to Hadel and say, the committee supports this. Is there anybody
Support it.
raise your hand if you support this?
Support
Okay,
it.
great. So the unanimous
Okay.
support of the committee at the.
Right.
And you know what I mean? I just feel like that's important to say.
Yeah,
This
absolutely.
isn't,
No,
you're
it's
like,
helpful to have.
if she says yes, we want this to happen.
Sure.
Okay. That's the update I have for you.
Great, thank you.
I move we adjourn.
Anything else before we do that? Is there a second?
Second.
Perfect, all in favor?
Aye.
Boom.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.